Welcome to this month's YouTube video. Tonight I'm going to do a card swipe. I haven't done one for a very long time, and I thought I would just play around with a process that was in another video before that somehow created some trees accidentally, and I'd really like to see how I go doing that again. So it's on half a sheet of Arches cold pressed 300 GSM paper. All the brushes and the paints that I use will be in the description below. So let's get started. So I'm just going to do a horizon above half. You know, it's probably, I've just attached it with tape at the top, and let's just go for just about a little bit further down than a third. We're just going to wet all up here. It's going to be a different style sort of painting than I've done before, but it will be interesting to see if I can pull anything off that looks interesting. And we'll just put a little bit down here, but not much. There we go. Let's get it really wet. I attach it up the top here because then the paper can expand out in 3 directions. That works very well. And also, if you would like to see more of these card swipes, then I suggest you go and check out Lena Gemzoe. I'll put a link to her channel in the description below. It's the first person I ever saw do a card swipe, and she has some beautiful art, so go check her out. Hopefully you can see enough just here. I'm just going to put a little bit of French Ultra on there. I should get the cap. Fair bit of Payne. We'll see. Sometimes I use too much. Alright, let's wet this again. Just here. It's got this nice movement. Just bring this in across here. I'll look where I can see where the water is, and I kind of want this Payne's grey to be just on that line. So I'll just bring it in across here. Nice. Let's just leave that for a second. We'll just nice. Let's just do that. All right. I'm just turning it so it does more of a, instead of a fine spray, a bit more of a direct one. Sorry if this is not all in beautiful focus for you. Just gonna dab a bit of this so that it just mixes the paint a bit, because it's a bit too tilting it up. See how we go, creating some interesting . I might just grab a bit of this card and just put in a few dabs of colour. Sorry if you guys can't see everything particularly well here. Sorry, I'm just trying to spray out a bit here, so it just has some difference. I'm quite liking that green that's formed. I'm not quite sure what the mix is, but I'm assuming there's a bit of yellow ochre in there because that was what was close to the Payne's grey. I just want to bring in, and this is maybe not the best brush for it, but I just want to bring in a bit of this colour so it kind of matches. Just going to flick a bit. Let's bring it a bit darker. Just so we got some. Now let's get this. I'm just playing with things really, to just see if I can feel as though I can make this work. I didn't really want there to be a big just going to spray. I'm going to tilt it this way for a bit, just keep the movement happening down this way. I'm going to spray a little bit up into here to just get a few, bit like salt almost. It'll make it interesting. And then I'm going to try and make some marks that I think will work. Now I'm wondering whether I want to put in any brush marks through here at all. But I want something to bring our eye to here, and at the moment it's not really doing that. I'm just going to spray a little bit in here, just see what happens. I need a finer mister. Let's try the finer mister. I've got a little bit of a rigger here. I'm just going to pick up some of that pigment that's there and just, it's not going to be detailed because it's a little bit wet. It might just give us a few interesting marks, but not too many. Let's just see if we can't just get a big double going down this way. Might be a mistake, but let's just see. Adding a little bit there, and I'll just soften it with a spray. So there's a little bit of a horizon. Let's see if this can work. It might not. I'm just going to try and scratch out a line on the trunk that's an impression of that anyway. It might just disappear because there's so much paint on there. I was just using a bit of cardboard to do that, so I don't scratch the paper too much. Just going to put a little bit of detail. Just need to get a little bit of movement of this dark pigment here up into here a little bit. Grab this and just try and encase a little bit here. So it's amazing what things can go horribly wrong. I kind of need this to be. Just adding in a little bit of dark up here so that it'll disperse. I just want some darkness there. If I'm not careful, this will lose its beautiful freshness. Probably already is a little bit. I think this is looking almost finished. It's very hard to tell how it's going to end up. That's always hard. Also, I've put a bit too much pigment on the page here. Solid pigment dries very strangely in terms of watercolour, and that's never a great thing. But you can varnish it afterwards, which brings a richness of colour back to it. So you can do that with a spray varnish or other things. These lights that I lift out keep disappearing. Yep, I think I like this now. Hopefully it ends up drying similar to how it looks right now. Nice. So the main thing I was trying to capture tonight is this idea of putting in a card swipe, turning it up the other way, and then having some sprayed out bits up here that have little flecks of water in them. And then when these dribbles run down here, they suddenly explode out into tree-like formations. And yeah, I do think this is a good subject here. There's not too much else taking the eye. There's some good armatures coming into this subject. The subject's a bit central, but I think there's enough interest to bring your eye to here. And, you know, I suppose I could, you know, put a couple of birds just here. So the eyes would come here and then they'd go here. But then they might go sort of off the page. So I think I'll just leave it like that for now. I'll reassess when it's all dry as to whether I'm going to do anything else. Also, what I'm going to do now is just let it dry naturally, because if I start using a hairdryer too much right now, it could end up a very different painting, and I want it to stay as close to this as possible. Also, if I just let it dry naturally as I am letting it do that, I can come along with my other things and just manipulate a few things as it dries, like these trunks that keep closing back in. I can do something about that. I'm very tempted to put a long swipe across here to give it some solidness, or to give more of a attention to here, but I am just going to leave that. I think, again, there's enough of a path from the yellow ochre to here. I think the blobs of, you know, Cerulean Blue and Cobalt Blue and French Ultra, you know, just add interest. I think that one's a bit random, but I'm just going to leave it. I think it's interesting. There's enough blobs to sort of make it like it's not too many. Yes, let's see how it dries, and I'll see you at the end of this. All right. Also, if you would like some help with your watercolour, I have some courses in the description below. Watercolour Landscapes for Beginners is the best one to start with. So if you would like some help with your watercolour, we don't quite start with this, but if you'd like some help with your watercolour, then let me know. And in the beginner's course, there is one card swipe, because that's a lot of people find that really enjoyable. So let's let this dry and we'll come back to it. Thanks. So I've let it dry for a few days. Let's look down here and see what it looks like. I think I'm happy with this. There's a few things that I might do if I wanted to keep playing with this. There's a few things that I was contemplating doing. One is that I could bring in some gradually weaker washes of yellow ochre over the top of this in a really organic way that would help to sort of show these trees gradually, you know, with this one in front of this one in front of this one. That would be interesting. And the other thing is that I could get a really weak mix of yellow ochre and just apply that a little bit that graduated this way. You know, that could also be interesting, and tie it all together. That could be, and I might do that at some stage, but not in this video this month. So thanks for joining me this month in this abstract card swipe landscape, and I will see you next month. Bye for now. Bye.